Hey, welcome back to Ignition Point. I'm Debbie Hart.
And I'm Sean Finnegan.
And today we have Sean's friend,
Zack Moss. So Zack Moss is, as he came up into our office, he is a celebrity because he went to college here at Utah. 2019 Player of the Year, right? And 2019 got drafted by the Buffalo Bills, been with the Colts, and now recently with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Absolute honor to have you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys
how's
having
that
me.
switch been for you?
It's been good. It's still new. A couple weeks ago with free agency, we ended up leaving Indy and going to Cincinnati Bengals now for another 2 years in the league. So very exciting times. Definitely looking forward to it.
So when you switch teams like that, what's it like? I mean, you probably form some genuine relationships, friendships,
Yeah.
when you're on a team with someone. So what's that like when you switch a team?
Yeah, it is a lot. Especially my time in Buffalo. When you leave teams, it is hard because you just make so many relationships with a lot of people, even guys in the front office and things like that.
Yeah.
And it just becomes your norm. So it's hard when you switch up your norm out of nowhere. But you understand it's part of the business.
Because it is a career.
It is a career,
Yeah.
and it's really, really rare if you stay on one team for a very long time. And especially in the NFL, it's a little different than NBA and NFL. Guys are always kind of moving. So
how long does it take you? You've switched a couple times.
Yeah.
How long does it take you until that starts feeling like a normal, like you're fitting in, you're bonding with everyone?
I mean, the first part that is really easy to get accustomed to and kind of start feeling with the team automatically is the guys you're in the room with all the time. So my running back room. So those are the guys I spend the most time with on the practice field, in the meeting rooms, things of that nature. So I get a lot of time with those guys. So I kind of just try to build that relationship first, and then you kind of piece it as you go with other guys around the locker room. Okay, how are we vibing over here with the offensive line, receivers, tight ends, whatever it may be. But over time, just genuine relationships kind of just build over time.
Organically.
Yeah,
It just takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. Everyone kind of has their own families now and things like that. So it's kind of, when you get in, it's like, all right, let's have this time together. And then as soon as this time is over, everybody's like shooting out, trying to just go home and, have that time.
So speaking of family, you just had your 9-month-old son? So what's that like?
He's so handsome.
Being a
my
parent
gosh.
now with this kind of a career.
It's great. It adds even more motivation than you probably could even imagine. Just like every year you're trying to find something new. And now with him, it's like just extra fuel more than I already had. It's crazy.
More drive to succeed.
Yeah, but it's been great, just to, be able to play this game, and, he'll be 1 year old here in a few months, right before the season. So that'd be cool. He'll start kind of remembering just a little bit more things, and you can bring him around a little bit more and bring him in the locker room a little bit more and kind of just meet those different types of people and things like that. So it's a great opportunity for me. Great memories. I'm all about building memories and things like that. So this is a great time for our family.
This kid's going to be a super athlete.
Yeah, he is. Your wife
played tennis back in the day. He's a running back playing at the highest level. That's a great gene pool.
It
Yeah,
sure is.
yeah.
So when you were young growing up, did you have athletic parents? And what was your ignition point? Were they kind of training you to follow this path, or did something kind of intervene to inspire you to get into football and athletics?
Yeah, so football wasn't even my first love. Basketball was.
Oh, okay.
Now everyone in my family kind of played football. So I had my oldest brother played football. My dad played football growing up. Uncles, my mom and her sisters all had athletic backgrounds as well. So everyone was athletic to some degree. For me, I didn't realize that I was athletic or that's something I really wanted to pursue until probably my 10th grade year in high school. So I started playing football when I was 10 years old. I saw my older brother playing football, and he was pretty good at the time. So I was like, okay, I think I want to try this. I remember going to the park, and I'm just watching other kids that looked my age. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, I think I'll try it. So my dad literally signs me up the next day. And that's how it started from watching my brother. Like I said, I didn't know I really wanted to do it until 10th grade. And
Which is pretty late.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. You were able to get
You're
on the
junior,
high school
yeah.
team without any previous football
well, I played
experience?
Little League football.
Okay.
But I played linebacker. So on the defense side of the ball, it's totally different from running back. And when I got to 10th grade, you know, I was like, okay, I think this is something I can do. You know, I think I can play, you know, football and actually want to do something with it. And it all drove from, you know, understanding what football could do for you financially, and wanting to take care of my mom and things like that. So once those things kind of, you know, once you get to that age, you start kind of maturing a little bit and kind of realizing what you want to do. And that's when it kind of struck for me, 10th grade year. It's like, okay, I think I want to play ball, and the work ethic was always there. It just never really had a real push behind it. And once I got that push behind it, I mean, I've been just going at it and trying to chop off layers by layers ever since then.
I want to touch on that. Your ignition point was not just to be rich and famous, but you said it would help you provide a career that would support your mom.
That's a great why.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's always been my why. You know, up until 2020, and then it changed. But you know, football is a very, very tough sport. It's very grueling.
Kind
on
of
your
brutal
body.
sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a lot on your body, and you sacrifice a lot. So 10th grade, I realized that's what I wanted to do. We were kind of struggling at that time in my life, so I knew I wanted to do that. And then obviously once I got able to go to college, I ended up coming to the University of Utah. And my mom never was able to see me play a game here up until my senior year. I believe her first game was the game I broke the record. I think that was her first game, my senior year. When I got drafted, fast forward kind of a little bit, when I got drafted, I ended up buying her house in Miami. So once I hit that, I felt, you know, that I had accomplished something. So I kind of lost that edge for that side of it. And then it switched over to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and building our life together, our family, and things of that nature. So now going on to my second contract in the NFL, which is very hard to do. I think the life expectancy is like 2.5 years in the NFL. Wow. So to be going on year 5 with an opportunity to play in year 6 with a 2-year contract, it is totally unbelievable. If you would ask me a few years ago, would I be in this situation? I would have told you probably not. Right, the goal and the dream was always to play X amount of years, but each and every week, you know, each and every day, it's a real test. It's so many people in the world that want to do our jobs.
They're lining up behind you.
They're lining up, and you know, they're ready to move you out if you can't perform. It's a performance-based business, so if you can't perform, you'll be out of there real quick before you can blink. So it's fun. It's very competitive. I love the game. I love what the game can provide. And I love just the aspect of just being around other guys who have that same, you know, competitive level, that same mentality to go out there and win and be their best and support their families.
What does recovery look like for you? Because running back, I feel like we talked about it before you got here, just takes so much punishment. You know, receivers can kind of go out of bounds and they kind of fall, but you're running guys over that are much bigger than you, maybe 100 pounds bigger than you sometimes.
Yeah, usually are a lot heavier. For me, recovery is every day, even kind of into the off season a little bit. I always try to find ways that you got to know your body. You got to learn your body real early. For me, luckily, you know, my mind was kind of turned on to that side of it, of like my body feeling good and just feeling my best to go out there and perform at my best in college. And I learned that from other guys that I was around, guys that were older than me, and kind of seeing them, growing up, being in the training room had a bad stigma around it. It was kind of like you were soft if you were in there, you're missing time, or why are you in here? But when I got to college, it was totally reversed. It's like as much treatment as you can get, as good as you can feel, do that.
Survival of the fittest.
Good, yeah.
Exactly. So, once I realized that, I never came out of there. Some of my best friends and some of the best people I've ever met that made my time even better wherever I was at. That was here in Utah, Buffalo, Indianapolis, and now going on to Cincy. I spent so much time in the training rooms. Those people became some of the best people just to talk to, just to hang out with, even more so than your own teammates. And that's how much time I was spending there because it was so important to, try to eliminate as many little small knick-knack injuries as you can possibly get, soft tissue, things of that nature. Some things you can't control. I've had 4 different surgeries, so some things you can't control, but the more you do, I'm happy to be like, okay, well, I got only 4 surgeries. It could have been a lot worse if I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z to try to at least take care of my body. And I've only missed maybe 3 or 4 games in the last 2 years at that position, which is, really hard to do.
So what is one of the hardest challenges that came with this career path, and then how did you push through?
Tell us about the
that?
dark time.
Yeah, so for me, the first time that I ever experienced the dark time, something that was very challenging to me, that was super new to me, was I tore my knee in college. I had a torn meniscus, a lateral tear, and I didn't know that it was torn. So I did it back in January of that year, 2018, and I didn't have surgery on it until November. So I ended up going through spring training, fall training, went through an entire season. I played the first 7 or 8 games, had 1,000 yards, and I was a junior.
With a torn meniscus.
With a torn meniscus, and I didn't know. And I always felt my junior year in college was my best physical self, like the way I felt physically, the way I was working mentally, the things I was doing off the field. That was just accumulation of just like, I was like, okay, I'm at a great level here.
Did you always have pain in the knee, but you just
never had pain in the knee.
Wow.
I never had pain in the knee. It would lock up on me sometimes.
Yes.
Like if
You just thought that was natural, as normal.
I was like, kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I never really, and I got MRIs. I had 2 MRIs.
Jeez.
And it never shown on there. So I was getting into bed, and I took a knee, just getting into my bed, like climbing up on my bed, and my knee locked, and I couldn't maneuver it out at all. It was stuck at this 90-degree angle. So I ended up having to go to the hospital. My wife took me to the hospital that night. They gave me a steroid to release it or whatever. Got an MRI, and then it's shown that it was a full bucket tear. So I ended up getting the surgery, and it was hard because I think it was only maybe 3 or 4 games left in the season. That was the first Pac-12 championship berth we had in the Pac-12 era. I was looking forward to just finishing those last couple games out. I was projected to be.
You were the guy.
Yeah, and I was projected to be a top 5 back in that draft. So when that happened, all those dreams and things like that just kind of flashed in front of you, taking care of your mom, kind of taking that next step and things of that nature. So all that kind of flashed in front of me.
You think it might be over at that point?
You think it's over. You think you don't know what to do. You're, 19, 20 years old. You're trying to figure out this massive decision you have to make. You can get guidance, but ultimately it comes down on you to make that decision on what you want to do. You want to stay another year, and what that comes with, or do you want to go and then what that comes with? So obviously I ended up staying, and that was the best decision I could have made because
Player of the year.
Player of the year. We made another Pac-12 championship game appearance, somewhere in the 1400s. Made another Pac-12 appearance, but the best thing was, like I said, I had just met my wife at that time, 18, back end of 18 when I got hurt. So she was there with me during that time, which helped our relationship grow a lot.
Yeah, she was there for you
and
during the dark times,
exactly.
not knowing that you were going to get to continue on.
Yeah, so seeing that through that rest of that year, doing the whole senior year together, doing the games and all that type of stuff, just the ups and the downs just made everything so much sweeter. And obviously now we've been together a little over 5 years and coming up on 2 years of marriage.
A little baby.
And got a little dude with us now. So I think it all worked out the right way.
It did.
So what advice would you have? Because I think business people look at you and you play at such a high level on the mental side of the game that we want to understand what that takes mentally to play at your level. What advice would you have for our business person?
It's always going to be challenges. It's always going to be something thrown in your way. It's always going to be someone trying to maneuver you a way that you probably don't want to go and things like that. But, the game is mental, is what we always tell ourselves. Everyone is physically gifted here, but how much better can you be on the mental side of things? What can you do on the mental side of things to separate yourself from your opponents? So I think just the same thing in the business world. What can you do mentally to put yourself at the top of your game where you're executing at a high level. And the biggest thing is being consistent at it. You know, the thing is about the pros is the guys who are, you know, that you watch on TV, see on ESPN. Yeah, they're great guys and things like that, but what makes them different is the mental side of the game, plus the consistency that you add those two things, and you get these guys who are Pro Bowlers, all pros, and all these type of things, and those are what make those type of guys great.
Consistency, overcoming hard things, and being where you are. I mean, congratulations on it.
Appreciate you.
Seriously, you put in the work. So
Yeah, you put in the work and you've overcome hard
Yeah.
things to be in the position you are. So congratulations on your
Appreciate
career.
it. Thank you, guys.
You're amazing.
thank
Really
you
appreciate it.
for sharing your story with us.
Absolutely.